We are in chapter 27, somewhere in Paul's sailing around the Mediterranean Sea. They brought the lifeboat aboard and began to wrap the ship with cables to hold it together, fearing they might run aground on the sandbars of the Gulf of Syrtis. They lowered the anchor and let the ship be carried along. We were so battered by the violent storm that the next day men began throwing cargo over. On the third day, they picked up the ship's gear and hurled it into the sea. When neither the sun nor the moon appeared for many days, and the raging storm continued to pound us, all hope of our being saved from this peril faded. For a long time no one had eaten. Paul stood up among them and said, "Men, you should have complied with my instructions not to sail from Crete. Then we would have avoided this damage and loss. Now I urge you to be encouraged. Not one of your lives will be lost, though we will lose the ship. Last night an angel from the God to whom I belong and whom I worship came and stood beside me. The angel said, 'Don't be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar.' Indeed, God has graciously given you everyone sailing with you. Be encouraged, man. I have faith in God that it will be just as he told me. However, we must run aground on some island." On the 14th night, we were being carried across the Adriatic Sea. Around midnight, the sailors began to suspect that land was near. They dropped a weighted line to take soundings and found the water to be about 120 feet deep. After proceeding a little farther, we took soundings again and found the water to be about 90 feet deep. Afraid that we might run aground somewhere on the rocks, they hurled out 4 anchors from the stern and began to pray for daylight. The sailors tried to abandon the ship by lowering the lifeboat into the water, pretending they were going to lower anchors from the bow. Paul told the centurion and his soldiers, "Unless they stay in the ship, you can't be saved from peril." The soldiers then cut the ropes to the lifeboat and let it drift away. Just before daybreak, Paul urged everyone to eat. He said, "This is the 14th day you've lived in suspense and you've not had even a bite to eat. I urge you to take some food. Your health depends on it. Not one of you will lose a single hair from his head." After he said these things, he took bread, gave thanks to God in front of them all, then broke it and began to eat. Everyone was encouraged and took some food. In all, there were 276 of us on the ship. When they had eaten as much as they wanted, they lightened the ship by throwing the grain into the sea. In the morning light, they saw a bay with a sandy beach. They didn't know what land it was, but they thought they might possibly be able to run the ship aground. They cut the anchors loose and left them in the sea. At the same time, they untied the ropes that ran back to the rudders. They raised the foresail to catch the wind and made for the beach, but they struck a sandbar and the ship ran aground. The bow was stuck and wouldn't move, and the stern was broken into pieces by the force of the waves. The soldiers decided to kill the prisoners to keep them from swimming to shore and escaping. However, the centurion wanted to save Paul, so he stopped them from carrying out their plan. He ordered those who could swim to jump overboard first, then head for land. He ordered the rest to grab hold of planks or debris from the ship In this way, everyone reached land safely. Chapter 28. After reaching land safely, we learned that the island was called